understood here tonight. This is Steeler country. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Let's go ahead and get in some like the hot button topics right now. Let's go ahead and pivot right now to fair or foul. Fair or foul topic number one right now on this 1 hour edition here of the Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. I mean, not Steel podcast right now as we look at things going into it. TJ Watt and the Steelers will have a new deal prior to the start of the regular season. I am going to say more than likely fair for right now. I'm not going to say foul, only because when you look at a contract right now, I mean, yes, it can be challenging right now to figure out something for a guy like TJ Watt's caliber. For a player who's not really a quarterback, but, I mean, at the same time, you can make the argument, too. He's definitely he's one of the quarterbacks on defense alongside Devin Bush. And you look, I mean, a guy like TJ Watt's, I mean, work ethic, I mean, the way he has contributed, I mean, nearly being Defensive Player of the Year on two separate occasions. A lot of people, like I said, did feel like he got robbed, I mean, especially this past season. I don't really think so. I have no problem with Aaron Donald taking that award. But you look at it right here, it was like 3 straight seasons, double-digit sacks right there, having his career high in sacks at 15. He also had an interception. And he also, too, I mean, with this season, he has his second career high in tackles, solo tackles with 43. And he had a career high in quarterback hits at 41. This is a guy right now who I get very concerned right now. I don't think this is going to be necessarily be a situation like Le'Veon Bell. I mean, the guy. I mean, at the end of the day, too. I mean, listen, TJ Watt is going to be there for his teammates. He's going to be ready. I think, if anything, when I look back at Le'Veon Bell from like 3 years ago, when he was trying to go for at least 2 straight seasons, trying to negotiate a deal, did not get a deal done. He accepted the franchise tag in 2017, and he did not participate in any preseason games. He just kept his body in shape until it was time for the start of the season, and he took slowly to kind of like warm up and then start to get going as the season went on. But listen, Le'Veon Bell, and no respect once again, but this was a guy who was trying to get himself set financially and with guarantees. Now, I don't think he was trying to snub his teammates. He was just trying to strictly keep a business approach and keep himself in the best shape possible without getting injured. I mean, when you think about like taking all these reps where it's unnecessary reps or not, I mean, how much did it really mess with a guy's psyche here that he had to put everything on the line to keep himself in better positioning? And that's why I look at TJ Watt right now. I don't think that's really the case for TJ Watt. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I mean, it's the most obvious thing. This is the sport of football. We're going to be expecting a lot of injuries be at play here. I mean, you put yourself at risk every game, every snap, if anything, and the way you got to grind things out. I just think TJ Watt right now, I just don't feel like he could afford creating any kind of like rift with the organization, not being there, I mean, with his team. I mean, this guy is definitely going to continue to work his butt off and be one of the top contributors on this defense, if not the future, should they like to sign him, I mean, long-term. I mean, when we look at the Steelers' salary cap situation right now, according to overthecap.com right now, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, their salary cap space currently, they're in the top 10. Top 10 at about $15.5 million in cap space. Now, don't forget, I think a lot of that was hugely due to David DeCastro's release Let's continue to look at it right now. And David DeCastro is going to be accounted for $5.5475 million in dead money for this season. So maybe that has a huge reason to do with it right now. I mean, the other dead money figures for this year, I mean, you got, just to recap, Marquise Pouncey at about $6.475 million, followed by cornerback Steve Nelson, $6.17 million. David DeCastro, who I just went over. Vince Williams over $3 million. Vance McDowell's $2.7 million. Stefan Wisniewski, $187,500. Antoine Brooks, $128,000. So, I mean, you take a look at a lot of these figures right here, and I really do believe right now, I mean, listen, I mean, the Steelers right now have got themselves set up nicely. And like I said, I like the signing right now of a guy in Trey Turner. I mean, you have to have someone ready, follow up for Dave DeCastro. And you also got to believe, too, I mean, the next year's draft right now, emphasis has to be more offensive line. And that's why I say for right now, the Steelers, I mean, with their money getting freed up, I do believe they will give them an extension. I believe they'll get a new deal. Because I think Stephon Tuitt, I think they got him signed the day before the start of the regular season in 2017. And Stephon Tuitt, I mean, when we looked at his deal back then, he signed a $5 million, a 5-year, $6 million contract extension on September 9th. And which, by the way, was the day before the season. That was reported by Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Tuitt, he received an $11 million sign bonus and $2 million roster bonus in 2017, which were the guaranteed portions of the contract. And then at the end of the season, back on February 8th, he converted $10.21 million of his base salary and roster bonus into a sign bonus, which created about $8.168 million in cap space for the Steelers. Okay, the Steelers do something with that right now and get creative, because the other things, too, that was mentioned by Ed Bouchette right now, so far there's been no news yet, but states that it won't be easy trying to figure out a contract that will average close to $30 million a year for someone who doesn't play quarterback. He is signed this year, thanks to large part, with a friendly deal due to picking up his 5th-year option at $10 million. And they got the option right now if they want. They want to be technical about it. I doubt they'll come to this point, but they could tag them in the next 2 seasons if they wish, in 2022 and 2023. And the franchise tag for a linebacker 2021 is $15 million this year. So, I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, either way, I mean, you got your guy regardless for this season. The question is, are they going to be able to lock this guy up long term? I'm going to have to say the answer is yes. I just don't feel like right now they'll make that same mistake. I mean, not necessarily a mistake, but in that position where you had a guy like Le'Veon Bell, nothing was struck. But I do feel like right now what you have to look at is that you don't want to let someone like him slip away. I mean, and you got to think, too, I mean, his brother, too, along with his agent right now, are looking to do everything they can to make sure he gets rewarded handsomely, which I do feel like he will. The only thing is right now with TJ Watt for this time, it's just how he continues to get better, to get himself for Defensive Player of the Year, and also be a significant part in leading this team to a Super Bowl. Because that's the other caveat to this, too. I mean, you sign this guy with all this money, but can we see a defense win them a championship? I mean, when you're in the 21st century, where a lot more, especially in the last 10 plus years, the name of the game has been more offense. Is he going to be the guy that really does enough to put this team in position to really help make that come to fruition? Because remember, the last player to win Super Bowl MVP was Von Miller of the Denver Broncos. He's a linebacker. And, I mean, it rarely happens, I mean, during these times. Then you also had, too, I think, back in Super Bowl 48, which, by the way, let's see. I think the guy who won that was, here we go. I got it right here. It was Malcolm Smith right there who won Super Bowl MVP in 48. And then prior to Malcolm Smith, when we dissect those Super Bowl wins, aside from that, you also had, let's see, you also had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Dexter Jackson. They had Ray Lewis. So 4 people in the last 21 years, defensive players win Super Bowl MVP. Which is really interesting right there. And you had like 3 out of those 4, which were linebackers. And it was definitely a beautiful thing to watch. So, that'd be a big question for TJ Watt. Let's go ahead into our second topic right now of fair or foul. Our second one right now. What are the new breed of offensive linemen right now? Now we got guys like Kevin Dotson, BJ Finney. We got Chuck Swoma, Corifor, Zach Banner, and Trey Turner more than likely in the mix. Will we see this offensive line give up a few more sacks? I'm going to have to say maybe foul for right now. I'm not sure, but I definitely do feel like right now the bigger question is, can they open up holes in the run game? Wait and see. Maybe Harris is that guy, as long as he can stay healthy. But I definitely do feel like right now, there's going to be a concern right now based on Trey Turner's track record. And like I said, you look at the end of the day, his team is getting up 272 sacks in his 7 seasons with teams like the Panthers and the Chargers. The only good news is they can help open up the run game a lot more. I definitely do feel like that's got to be a little bit more efficient. But that's where you also had to convey the Ben Roethlisberger, earn his trust right now. Where they could run in certain situations, guys need to step up, and how they can catch out of the backfield and make things a lot more easier on him. Because the thing is, too, I also look at it right now. Ben Roethlisberger, how much more is this going to want to push him into retirement as time continues to go on, as clock is ticking for this guy? He was very fortunate to convince his team of a 1-year contract extension with the Steelers. I definitely do feel like right now, you look at a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, who's had the luxury, always having great relationships with his offensive line. And that's very smart thinking, too. Your buddy's right there. Obviously, he played his cards right, and he got decent protection and the best of his performances. I just get a little concerned right now because then you got to look at, too, if Ben Roethlisberger does decide to hang it up after this season, you got guys waiting the wings and Mason Rudolph and possibly Dwayne Haskins. I'm not sure how much Dwayne Haskins would really work in the Steelers' fold, but you got to believe there's some plans together collectively to keep this thing on track and to make sure you got a good, solid stable around each other. I just feel right now, the communication, the chemistry is going to be one thing that's going to be definitely see how that works out, how they fit together here. And I just really look at it right now. I mean, you got a lot of factors, like I mentioned, but I do feel like the leadership, the communication with each other, it's definitely gonna be a lot more eye openers along the way. As we look at. And last but not least, topic number 3: Steelers will wear alternate helmets with uniforms during the regular season, like their throwback uniforms or their color rush. I'll probably say foul for right now. I could probably see it working for their color rush uniforms. And one of the biggest reasons why they did not have the last few years a uniform policy was mainly because like the safety, because player safety was the primary reason that the league previously told teams to stop using alternate helmets. They wanted every player to have one helmet that fit them properly and did not want to alter it during the season, mainly because they did not want them to have like injury risks right there. And if they had injury risk, possibly being the league being sued. So I wouldn't mind right now. I mean, the yellow helmets they wore, the yellow gold helmets back what they had in 2007, would they wear those with the color rush uniforms? I think that would be pretty darn cool if they did do that. And to be honest with you, I would have no issue with it. I think that was a nice little caveat, but I'm not so sure how much it's going to work in with the Steelers because, as reported by Michael David Smith of Pro Football Talk, a memo sent to teams this afternoon, yesterday afternoon, the league announced a new policy to give the teams the opportunity to use 2 different helmets starting in the 2022 season, a popular move with fans who are more than likely like alternate throwback. Who usually like alternate and throwback uniforms. Teams compare the second helmet with alternate throwback or color rush uniforms so long as they follow all league policies, ensuring that all alternate helmets are properly fitted and that all players are provided with significant opportunity to wear the alternate helmets in practice prior to wearing them in a game. So there you have it. I mean, that's going to do it for this edition here of the Man of Steel podcast. Hope you guys enjoy the topics right now. And hopefully we'll see some more encouraging updates right now as far as the Steelers practices. Remember, once again, no training camp at St. Vincent College, which is a real bummer, but they will be having practices at Heinz Field and the UPMC Sports Rooney complex right there. So we'll have more updates as it continues to go along this summer. But other than that, can't wait for an awesome Hall of Fame. Once again, you guys want to hit me up on Twitter, it is at MountainSteelCR, and on Instagram at MountainSteelNation. As I always leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I got it.